Well, hey, good evening. Welcome back to my little gardening show. It is Tuesday, January 29th, and we are in the midst of the polar vortex. Supposed to have like record-setting lows and like super crazy wind chill and all of that. So I'm downstairs in the basement grow room here. I thought I'd give you an update, show you the lettuce, kind of where we're at with all of that. First off, it's about 50 degrees down here, and that's with the lights on. It's probably, with the lights off, it's around 45 degrees. So having the lights on does add a little bit to the room here. I think the heat mat is also helping slightly. So got the grow tray here. We started this over the weekend. Again, there's all this condensation where it's kind of keeping the moisture, everything nice and wet. We're going to knock that down before we open this up. And look at all those healthy sprouts. Had quite a bit of lettuce come up. Again, this is Little Jim. What I'll be doing is separating these sprouts into the grow box there. And we'll try to grow some romaine lettuce. That's looking fantastic. Here's the kids tray. Again, if you remember from the last video, it was not covered, nothing had sprouted. Since then we put this saran wrap over it. And we get a few sprouts. They're starting to come up. So they'll like that. Alright, so taking a look at things, I think I will go ahead and try to transplant some lettuce. We'll go ahead and get one of these boxes started. So I'll take you along for that here real quick. Now the first step is to pull off this advertising. It's a little annoying that they kind of glued this on here. It shouldn't be a big deal, really. Got our pipe that's going to go here to add water to it. I'm going to go ahead and get some grow mix. We're going to mix it in our 5-gallon bucket there and put down some wet mix initially, and then I'll add the rest in. And actually what I'll probably do, just so to kind of expedite things, is I will probably go ahead and mix up a pretty big batch of moistened potting mix there. We'll fill it up to the line, and then we'll work on transplanting the seedlings out of this tray here into our grow box. So my first step is to fill that bucket with some water, which I happen to have some right here. Now we'll get some potting mix. Alright, I'm actually going to flip this around either way. I got some potting mix in this bucket. It's going to be easier to pour the water into this than to add the mix to the water because of the dust, since this is relatively dry. Now I've got this A.M. Leonard soil tool. Works out pretty well for planting things. I'm going to use this to kind of mix everything up. I'm probably going to have to get some more water. There's quite a bit of mix here. Maybe not. It's moistening up pretty decent. So the instructions say that I should add some clumps to the corners of that box. Let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to push a clump over in this corner. Another clump here. And the idea is to make sure it's packed in there pretty good, so then when add the rest of the mix and then put that pipe in, if we were to water it from below, just adding water through the pipe, it would hit these clumps. There would already be water in here, and then through capillary action it would start to saturate the rest of the mix here. But I think what I'm going to do is just go ahead and add the rest of the mix at this point that I've got in this bucket. Spread this out a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and put my pipe in before I start filling this up much further. We'll get some more mix. I think what I'm going to do at this point, before I add any additional grow mix, I'm going to sprinkle in some of this agricultural lime, just a little dusting. Again, this is a calcium source for the plants. Make sure that they have what they need to develop good cell structure. I'm also going to sprinkle in some worm castings. Yeah, that's pretty good. Now, you don't have to do the worm castings. They recommend the ag lime, and then just using a soilless grow mix, and then digging a little trench and putting fertilizer in there. We're going to do that a little different too. What I'm going to do is, once we transplant the seedlings, I'll hit them with some nitrogen-based, like organic fertilizer, just to help them with any kind of transplant shock. And then we're going to use the mint lighter weekly feed on these to feed the plants. Once a week, I'll hit them with some weekly feed to get things going. So we'll go ahead and add in some more. Some more grow mix. I'm going to pat this down so that when we do start watering, it will wick up and everything will stay nice and moist. trays can hold a lot of grow mix. You know, with greens, it's probably not as critical to have as much of a grow medium for them to grow in, as opposed to like tomatoes or something that's going to have a lot larger root zone. Looks like we need to add a little bit more grow mix to this. Alright, so we've got the grow box pretty well ready to go. I think there's enough grow mix in it at this point. I'm not going to fill this heaping all the way to the top, given what I'm growing here. I think I'm going to go ahead and stick with kind of a lower level here. Yeah, we'll see about that. Alright, so we've got our box filled up, at least as far as I'm going to fill it up. There is a good amount of grow mix in here. I bet this could hold a standard bag, a cubic foot, probably more than that. Anyway, there's quite a bit of pro mix in this. So what I'm going to do now is establish where we're going to put our lettuce seedlings, and we'll start planting our lettuce out. Now I can do the lettuce a couple different ways. I could do it as a keep it thick and just transplant the whole row that has sprouted. I could separate them into individual heads, and give them some space, and space them a couple inches apart, and go that route with them and let them kind of bush out a little bit. I need to give that some thought here before we get going too far into it. All right, I think what I'm going to go with is using my little tray stamper there and make 72 little notches, and then I'll use my dibber to fill out the sides if there's space. There probably is space for another probably 18. Yeah, probably 18 more that I could get in there fairly easily. So that's what, 90. So I'll have 90 seedlings then. I think I've got enough in that tray to do that. So let's go ahead and make our marks with our template. It's kind of faint. And we got our dibber that I can come try to keep the spacing about the same. Some of these holes that didn't get formed. Alright, so we got our tray all dibbed out. See if we can get some lettuce sprouts into there. So what I'm going to do is take my little tool here and we're going to go along this row and just pry these up. I mean, you can see how many are in that bunch right there. I'm just going to gently break this apart. and pick out the best looking sprouts. And when I'm doing this, I'm looking for the ones that have like the straightest stem and the longest rootstock and symmetry in the leaves, the seed leaves. And there's probably more efficient ways of doing this. You know, if I was doing this for like a living or something, we'd probably be going about this a little differently. But being just a little hobby grower, you know, and doing this for fun, just kind of relaxation. I don't mind spending the additional time just to kind of observe and enjoy things. I know there's a lot of people that wouldn't enjoy this, but it's actually pretty relaxing, just kind of being down here and taking care of things like this, and you know, having some peace and quiet. I enjoy spending time with the kids too down here, you know, and teaching them things. But it's also nice to have some time, you know, alone, just to be down here and kind of think about stuff, and or not think about stuff, just kind of observing and playing around with things. One of the things that's pretty neat is that, you know, you take a look at something like this small, it's going to be a, you know, if it's nurtured right and has it what it needs, it's going to become a big head of lettuce. You know, you're looking just in this one row, you know, that I pulled up. I've already got 9 holes to fill. I probably got enough just in that little section. That little 2-inch section that I pried out, I've got enough seedlings to fill at least 2 of the 10 rows that I've got designated for lettuce, individual heads of lettuce. Which is pretty amazing. And some of these, they've got a good top, but their root isn't very long. I mean, that one would probably still be okay. A lot of it depends on how much competition they had, what was next to it. Let's see what we got in this one here. Alright, so the rest of those aren't as good. For example, here's one that's kind of, I don't know if you can see that, it's kind of stunted. So we'll go and pry up the next a couple inches there. Inch. And then we pull these apart. One thing in handling these, I'm being fairly gentle. I'm trying to hold it by the leaves. I'm not trying to avoid putting any pressure on the stem. Now, there's a really healthy one. Show you what I got planted up so far. So again, out of about 3 inches of that row, I've already got 18 seedlings planted up. I'll probably have another half row when I'm done with that. So probably once I've gone through about 3 of these rows over here in the starter tray, I'll have this whole box filled up. Alright, so it took me about probably a half hour. Went through about a third of my tray, and the result is all of these. So the next thing I'm going to do is go along each of these and kind of nudge, hold on to the leaves and kind of gently nudge the grow mix next to the roots, make sure everything's secure. I'm going to hit it with my liquid fertilizer, nitrogen, to help it with any kind of transplant shock, and then wait a couple days. Once they're pretty well recovered, I'll hit them with the mint lighter weekly feed, and then kind of water that in. Actually, what I'll do with the weekly feed, because of this being bottom watered, is I'll probably make it into like a foliar spray, or I guess what they would call the constant feed, which is what you use on seedlings anyway. So maybe that's the recipe I'll use, is the constant feed, which will be a watered down version. And I'll be watering this once a week with that. All the other water will come by way of it being bottom watered and making sure that the tray is at the right level. So once I pack all these in, I hit them with the nitrogen spray. I'll fill up this thing with water until I see water coming out of the sides. That I'll know that it's filled once it hits that. And then I'll drop the grow lights down close to this. I'll probably have to put my other tray. I'll have to do something else with that. That's going to be the challenge with this thing, is that it's going to take up a fair amount of space. Hopefully I can get these going and then get this moved out from under my grow lights by the time it's time to start the other seedlings, or be able to move it to the side or do something with it, so it's not taking up so much space. I'm sure this thing's pretty heavy with the amount of grow mix that's in here and with it being saturated, but we'll see what we can do. So I'm going to pack these in. We'll hit them with foliar spray, liquid nitrogen, organic. I'll top it off with some water, and then as far as my tray here, I'll remove these kind of wasted seedlings that weren't real good. Put this mix back in here, and we'll continue to let these grow. And then maybe what I'll do is go ahead and bite the bullet and set up this other box later this week so that everything's at the same height, and then lower the grow lights onto, and keep things going for a little while until it's time to move them out. All right, so we've got the Bountiful Harvest Grow Box. We've got it all planted up. Now my next step is I've got a sprayer that's got some organic fertilizer that's a little heavier on the nitrogen. I'm going to hit these with a little bit of nitrogen spray. So we'll go ahead and do that. And what that's going to do is help these cope with a little bit of transplant shock that they will probably be experiencing now that I've uprooted them and all that. Take this along and hit all these. So that should give them the boost they need to get adjusted. And then what I will do, I guess my next step is to fill this tube with water until I see water coming out of the slots there. Then I'll know that there's a fair amount of water in that. I might not need to do that right away because this mix is pretty saturated. I may hold off on that for one day and just see how this retains moisture. But I'll be bottom watering, and then once a week I will be hitting these seedlings with some liquid fertilizer, basically using the constant feed until they get a fair amount of size, and then I will use the Mint Lighter weekly feed in here, just adding a little bit, watering that in once a week. Everything else will be, bottom watered, and we'll see what we can get. So I guess that's all for now. Until next time, happy gardening. Bye.